latest Playoff 2 edition of Talking Sports, Pete. It's going to get interesting. It already has been interesting. A couple of huge games to talk about that the people in our area will be highly interested in. So, what do you think so far? I mean, it's been pretty fun playoffs, right?
It has been fun. There hasn't been really too many surprises.
Yeah, things are more or less informed.
Yeah. And you're just gearing up for the games this week, the area around.
So on the
Valley teams,
we're getting there. I mean, we're starting to drop like flies, but every area drops like flies in second and third round. So I mean, we'll see who we get to go forward. I would note that on the Saturday night special, we got 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
North was able to get past the Eagle Pass, and the Colomiers led early apparently, got tied, and then came down with a chance to retie the game and got to the 10 to the final minutes, but they couldn't get it done. That's too bad. I was hoping they'd win.
Goal line stand.
Yeah.
That's what makes a team. Well, Edinburgh North, they got it covered. They got Harlingen South coming up. It's
they played before,
Yeah.
Way back when. I think it was 96 maybe, or 94, a long time ago.
Harlingen South took care of business against Rowe. I was at that game. They ended up winning 41-21.
Rowe got stopped.
First 2 drives. Well, they did, but they didn't. They still were able to get over 300 yards.
393,
right?
But only 21 points.
Exactly. But, the key in this game was Harlingen South's kicker, Frankie Menace.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 field goals, and then he had that one onside kick that they nailed, and that was just the dagger. That was the handle breaking off.
We said, hey, Rowe's been playing as well as anybody in the Valley the last 3 weeks. You can never keep that sort of sustained momentum going completely. And I guess they ran into a team that played a good football game.
And they did. They played a good football game on all aspects of the game. And, Jaden Taylor, man, he ran the ball.
Jaden Taylor is a big back. And he surprises you when you see him in person how big he really is. He's a thick guy. He must weigh about 205 now. He's huge. And still got great speed. I mean, you're looking at a kid who's got 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 17. And he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that Harlingen South team, because that's the matchup that Edinburgh North now has. Second round of the playoffs. Excuse me. Both teams are 9-2. South, of course, lost early. They lost to PSJ Memorial by a field goal. Then they ran off a pretty good streak until they hit Harlingen in the Bird Bowl. They got outplayed 38-23, I think was the final there, 36-23. But other than that, they haven't lost. They're 9-2. Have you gotten a chance to see South besides last week?
I saw them against Rowe.
Oh, you saw both South and Rowe.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that team? They're pretty solid.
They are, and they're a well balanced team, and they've got a kicker, and which if you got a kicker, you do a little more damage.
And if you don't have a kicker, you can't do that damage, and it sometimes damages you. I like Frankie Menace. Their punting's fair, Nick Garcia.
Yeah.
You know what they do have? They have some weapons. I mean, this Nick Garcia, number 4, he's got 34 catches, 6 interceptions. He's the punter. He can do it. He can do it all, man. He's the kind of guy.
Football player.
Yeah. He can take it to the house. I like Sean Montemayor as a quarterback that he had the knee injury last year, and it's taken him a while to get back to where he was last year. But he had a good ball game. I think he ran for 2 touchdowns against the Rowe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's a solid quarterback. Jaden's very good. Their defense is good.
And their defense, first 2 possessions Rowe had, they threw picks, and they just couldn't get the ball rolling. And I mean, sure they got their offense and they got a score. Salazar got one in. But it was that onside kick in the second half. They got the ball to start the second half. They scored the onside kick and scored again, and that was just the wheels really came off.
So one team was ready. And that was it. I'm not saying I think if they played 10 times, South will win more than 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But they did, and it's over, and the Rowe season.
It's one game.
That's
playoffs. That's why it's called playoffs.
So now, how does Edinburgh North, a team that's 9-2, and I believe is somewhat a mirror image of South in many ways, how do they beat Harlingen South? Because I think they'll have to do it on the road.
Yeah, and going to Harlingen, that's going to be tough.
Friday night, such is life. Yeah. But I mean, Bogus Stadium is a nice place for the Hawks to play. They like playing at home. What's North going to have to do, I think, to
if they can establish a run game, I think they'll be okay. But they need to establish it early, and they need to keep going with it.
I think they will. I think they can. That offensive line is, at the beginning of the season, it was going to be the best line in the Valley. And then all of a sudden, a couple of kids left, this and that happened. But they still have a very good offensive line with Angel Dua, Trevino, and these other guys. Now, the addition of Matt Whitesides the last 3 or 4 weeks has really made that offense more versatile. Josh Baylor doesn't have to do as much because Adrian Alvarez is back. Whitesides is with them. They're running the ball as good as anybody in the Valley. And so that, to me, I think you're right, is where they're going to hang their hat. Now, Vela's going to have to, of course, he threw the 87-yard touchdown to win the game to Adrian Morales. What they're going to have to do is he's going to have one of those 8 of 12, 110-yard games. That's all he has to do. In other words, when they need a throw, they get in 3rd and long, or maybe even cross them up and throw on 1st down. He's just going to have to make his throws, and he can. He can.
And he has to just remember not to try so hard because that's what Javi was doing. Also, they got down and he tried extra hard, and he would make a mistake and throw the pick, and that's what really it was hard. They were just fighting uphill.
Playing from behind is tough because the margin of error gets smaller. So like Obregon last week, a team that gets ahead generally does a good job of winning this deep in the playoffs. I feel like Josh Baylor can quarterback that team to a win. I'd say playing on the road, they're probably about a 6 or 7 point underdog just because of the schedule that South has played. I mean, they beat Los Fresnos. They beat Monroe. I think North's first-round opponent was only fair, but it doesn't matter. They got the win. They made the play at the end.
At
so
the
here
Alamo.
They are. That's right, man. They broke the curse.
They got the Alamo.
They broke the curse, and may they not have to play there again. Now, what happens if they win? What happens if Edinburgh North wins?
You have the schedule there.
I do, and it's Cibolo Steel, which is the top-ranked team that hasn't lost all year. And so basically, we're looking at a difficult muster. I would say for North or South, it's kind of like the Civil War here in the Valley. Who cares about next week? This is the biggest game of your life, so play hard and have fun, and let's see what happens. I'm really thinking that North has a pretty good chance to stay with them, as long as they can continue to get a big play here or there from their passing game. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great football game.
Yeah, and you got to watch out with Garcia because he was going to be in that backfield.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Harlingen South defense is good, but I give the edge to Edinburgh North. It's about time we around the Valley started giving that team credit for the defensive charge that it's made all season. I mean, here's a team that averages 190 yards a game giving up on defense. That's among the best in the Valley. I feel like every line has a couple of kids who can really play the game, from Vince in the back. Roy Cantu had 2 interceptions. Yeah. I think he had 6 or 7. He's a good ball player. The linebackers are very good. Not only Lupe Quintero and the other kid, number 2, but they have a kid, Thomas Leba, 45, who really makes a lot of plays, and he's not the world's fastest kid, but I like him. And then, of course, Josh Danette up front. They got a great defense. They're going to have to play the best game of the season to shut down South, but I think it can be done. I'm thinking like 24-21, 28-24, and I'm not hesitant to say who I think will win. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a fun game.
Right. Now, that's a fun game, and yet the game of the year lies straight ahead. It will be Friday, where?
Bob Lackey.
In Weslaco. Okay, so they picked a good neutral site for that game. There's going to be about 14 or 15,000 people on hand to see the Harlingen Cardinals, yes, Harlingen, against the Sherryland Rattlers, the number 1 team in the Valley. I think it's a matchup that we would have liked to have seen a couple of years back or last year. But that's the way it works out. Now we got it.
Yeah, and it should be fun. I mean, what is every time you Sherryland? Another 60, 70 points. Or
who scores 72 points in by district? That's nuts. That's crazy. That team is good.
That's
man.
all you keep hearing. Like it really sounds. It's a broken record. Like,
56 points a game. Yeah, that's a good tune. It's a good rerun. Bottom line is they have 624 points in 11 games, and if they keep up this pace and win 2 more games, or at least win 1 and lose 1, score a lot of points, they can break Harlingen's record of 713 set last year. I'm not sure they're going to do it because what that means is you got to beat the Cardinals, and then you're going to have to beat San Antonio Madison. So again, kind of like Steele with the other game. I don't know. I heard a lot of people in Sherryland talking about going all the way through the region. It's possible. It really is possible. I'm not going to tell you that I think it's not possible because I think it is.
But they just got to keep playing the way they've been playing.
And they got to beat the Cardinals first. That's what you don't want to do.
Get ahead of yourself.
Everybody, listen, let me tell you something about Harlingen. I've seen him the last couple of weeks. This ain't the Harlingen that lost to Johnson, and it ain't the Harlingen that lost to San Benito. This is the puro Cardinals. I'm not saying they're as good as last year because they're not. I'll be the first one to tell you they are not as good as they were last year. But are they still a dangerous football team that has a winning spirit and the Cardinal spirit? Yes. Sherryland needs to come to play because if not, they can lose. They don't think they can lose because they're undefeated. But let me tell you something. Against that team, what I've seen the last couple of weeks, they very much can lose.
How is that defense? What have you seen from that defense that's going to help them stop
the Cardinal defense?
Yes.
Yeah, well, what I've seen is that they have a reasonably fast team on defense. It's not very big, but it's got some speed on the corners, speed in the outside linebackers, their defensive linemen pursuit. What they're going to have to do, they might even come out in a dime package, man. I mean, they may come out with a bunch of DBs because the bottom line is Sharyland dices you up, slices and dices you in space. They just throw the ball. And the thing is, you can always say, well, get pressure on Trace. You can't get that much pressure on a kid who takes one step and throws the ball. I mean, that's like playing 7-on-7 with no rush, man. You can't get pressure on a quarterback in the spread. So you have to cover and you have to tackle. So I think the Cardinals, the defense last year was phenomenal. The defense this year is just very good. They could look. I tell you that I think Sharyland can lose, but I also think that they can kick Harlington's butt like 50-20. I really feel that's possible too. I suppose it depends on the effort level of the two teams and the efficiency level and the lack of mistakes or the commission of mistakes.
Yeah, and the mistakes, that's going to be the big part. Obviously, that's obviously when loses a game or wins a game.
Sharyland hasn't made too many.
They really don't, and they're also good at special teams.
Oh, man, they're the best.
That's
what Harlingen did last year. Remember all the 4 pick sixes? They had all them kick blocks and returns. I think that's what makes Sharyland far and away the best team in the Valley this year is that they score in myriad ways, and they score, as I've told you on this program before, in a hurry.
Yeah.
I mean, that 24-point quarter, bum.
They just go. They score one. They smell the blood. They're like sharks, and then they just keep going.
Well, what happened against United? It was like even 14-7, all of a sudden 43-7. I mean, so the thing is, Harlingen has a pretty good special teams group. Samuel Basan is a kicker. He's got 8 field goals. They cover well. That's a well-drilled team. I don't think they're going to be able to put up the 21-point quarter against the Cardinals. Hey, if they do, then they're going to blow them out and they're going to go to the third round. I feel like Sharyland has not played a poor game all year. I really don't feel like they have. They were tested against the Colombians. They were tested somewhat against Donna, though they blew them out late.
At the end.
Alexander, believe it or not, early on, that's 59-21, but I think early on they were like, oh, okay, these guys are pretty good. And we saw what Alexander did last week to Donna, of all teams. Man, they kicked Donna's butt. I couldn't believe that. Could you?
Yeah. I mean,
man, I'm bad. I hate to see Donna lose like that.
35-24.
Oh, you're going to get a Donna Weslaco rematch if they hadn't lost.
That would have been fun.
Now it's Alexander and Weslaco. And 2 years ago, Alexander beat him 28-26, kind of an upset in the second round. So I'm looking forward to see who wins that game. That's a Saturday game.
Yeah, that should be an interesting game also.
We are running out of teams, though, man. I mean, so Weslaco beats Los Fresnos.
It's coming down. Weslaco East, they just.
Oh my.
They just.
Oh my.
At the end there.
Yeah, they did, man. Brownsville veterans took them out. What do you know? Those guys are something, man. They call them in the San Antonio paper Brownsville Memorial or whatever. They don't know anything. Golly. That's going to be fun to see how they come up against Del Rio. They can beat them, man. They ain't that good.
Yeah. I mean, I really
got him in his hand.
He should have beat them.
They had them. Yeah. So if they're, if that's the name of that tune, then maybe Veterans is a Cinderella team going to the third round, Yeah. All the teams that get past the second round have a tough game waiting for them unless you go to the lower levels. Man, Mission, we were talking about it before we came on. They had it, man. Alamo Heights lost. Yeah. And so that 2 more games were winnable for Mission if they'd have beaten Ray. I think the bottom line is that team just hit a slow patch at the wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go into the playoffs not hot.
9-0, and then they lost 2. That's it. They couldn't run the ball, man. They had like 29 yards rushing against Ray, and that's by no means a 75 Steeler defense. I mean, I don't understand that, and it bums me out. But hey, you know what? Still a good year for Mission. Still a good year for the city because let's give veterans some credit, man. They didn't get blown out at all by Pueblo. I was wrong. Holy cow, dude! They played good.
That off, man.
What, they were up 17-14 in the second, right?
Yeah, it would have been definitely statewide news if that would have happened.
And now Flower Bluff, man, come all the way across in that bracket. They may end up going. Ed Couch, Port Lavaca, Calhoun. We talked about it last week. I don't see any way they can win, but if they do, I'll be the first one to run over there and start the victory parade. And if they win that, then they're going to have to play who? Let's see. Cal Allen won. Yeah. So it's Cal Allen against. What are we looking at here? Let me get my trusty bracket here because let's see. All right, Mission Ray. Oh, no, Mission would have played GP. So now let's see. Ed Couch will probably play Brennan. 10-0. Yeah. So out of the frying pan and the fire. Look, man, I don't think they beat PLC, but to come where they came. After all the turmoil they had and to make the playoffs and win a game, it's a good season for Ed Couch.
It's actually a great season after
all the nonsense.
All the petty, yes. That nonsense. That's exactly what it was.
Well, so the recap.
For lack of a better word.
Right, well, yeah, that's a good one. The recap is this. Economides does not win in their playoff game, but they made a nice
they
performance.
Made a great run.
Yeah, they did. I think Bubba Villarreal and Ray Ramos each went over 1,000. That's a good accomplishment for them. Obviously, Ray will be back. Tony Isaguirre, I think, might be a senior. Bubba's a senior. Ugo's back. So they lose their offensive line. They lose a lot of kids on defense. But, hey, with the momentum that Gabe Payne has built up over there, they got to be fired up. It's a great season on the east side. They should be proud of what they did, and we'll see if they can do it again next year. Because that's what happens. See, when you win, it ain't just we win and we're happy. Now people are going to come out and expect you to win. But that's a good problem to have. It's a good place to be. Because in the past, people didn't even consider the condominiums. And now they do, and they made the playoffs. And so to me, you got to be happy with what you did. You're going to have to live with the taste of losing that close game to Del Rio the rest of your lives. But you know what? That's the price you pay, man. I'll guarantee you all those kids wouldn't have been anywhere but that game on Saturday up in San Antonio. It's cool, man. You know?
Yeah, no, and it's the same thing with Rowe and Memorial. They have great years, Memorial is just building up.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. You should have seen the kid. The kid was silly. The kid just went 71. It was like this. Deep. And, right when Harlingen thought they were going to pull away, the kid goes 71 yards, ties it at 13. If they don't give up those 2 long bombs for touchdowns right before the half, Memorial's right there in the game because they had enough yards.
Yeah.
Harlingen was not going to be beaten. And that's why I say they have a chance against in Sherryland because they're starting to play like that old nasty Harlingen team that they ain't going to let you get nothing. You know how it's not even a sense of entitlement. It's more like a sense of destiny, dude. Yeah. I mean, they start thinking they can win. When Manny gets them going, it's tough, man. Yeah. Sherryland, I don't know, man. It's the game of the year. I know you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'll be out there, get a video going, get some story, graphs, whatever.
I hope that both teams play well. That's all I care about. In other words, don't leave anything on the field. Don't have any excuses about, well, we could have, should have, would have. If they both play hard, we'll see who happens.
I really don't think either one of them will show up,
and like that.
Yeah, I really think they'll show up to play, both of them.
Should be an amazing atmosphere.
Now, whether Sherryland just runs away with it, that's a different story. But
they could.
I know Harlingen will show up to play.
Yeah, they will. Like I said, you said a minute ago, you don't want to go into the team not playing in the playoffs not playing well. Well, both teams are playing well. I think that Sherryland obviously has the edge. Like I said, neutral site. I would say, 8 or 9 point favorites?
Yeah, probably.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're number one in the Valley. I don't know why they haven't got more votes statewide. These people need to get busy and vote them in, man. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
What else do they want?
I guess to beat Harlingen and then
beat
the team the next round.
If they beat Harlingen, then they best be in the top 10 in the state, or at least after they then play Madison. Let me tell you about Madison. They're 9-2. They got all those great athletes back from last year, but they've had some injury problems at key situations. They're not. Last year they went to play Fort Bend Hightower after they beat Harlingen, and then they lost. But it was the state quarterfinals or semifinals. So I don't know, man. They're probably close to being that good this year, and we're going to talk a lot more about them next week because whoever wins, may it be Sherryland, we'll talk about them. Madison is beatable. I said it last year against Harlingen. If their guys don't play well, then they can be beat. But they did. All of them played well on that night. And Harlingen still was right there, 28-12, 35-28. So I guess the way I look at it is this. Who cares about Madison right now? It's Sherryland. It's Harlingen. If you're a Valley High School football fan, you best get over and get them tickets because when I read in the paper, they're already going like hotcakes.
Yeah, apparently there's the limits you can get.
You better hook it up, man.
Yeah, so you might find a scalper. That'd be fun.
You can find a scalper, or you can jump the fence. You can be part of the knothole gang and try to look in off the fence. That'll be the place to be. I, contrary to popular belief, will be back in the Valley by Friday, so I will be attending at Bogus Stadium to see Harlingen South and Edinburgh North. I think it's a heck of a game, and both teams are very proud to be there. I worry about neither one of them has playoff experience.
Yeah.
That's the thing that worries me. In other words, and when you don't have playoff experience, sometimes you come out and you do make those silly mistakes, and you do get behind 17-3, and you do lose your focus. Now, I'm not saying it has to happen, but inexperienced teams, see, Harlingen's been there. Sherryland's been there. Them kids have been in the playoffs for a long time. North, first time since 9. And Harlingen South, the last 4 years prior to this, they won like 6 games.
Yeah.
6 and 7, that was a great team.
7, that was the last.
Yeah. 6 and 7 were their great teams. With Sean Messick was the quarterback. He was really good. So bottom line is it's uncharted territory for both teams, which leaves us prone to having a weird and ugly game, possibly. Again, I hope both teams come out and play as well as they can and let the chips fall where they may.
Regardless, it's going to be fun.
Heck yeah, man. Once you get to the second round of the playoffs, you know that all the other kids in the Valley are envious of you, and they're coming to your games. And it's like half exciting and half pissing them off because they wish they were there.
Yeah, especially if they beat you.
I'm telling you, that's right. You think some of the Bobcats are going to go to North? The North came over to South. I'll tell you, this was interesting, and then we'll close with this. I was over to Bogus Stadium watching the Cardinals beat Memorial. And, when the South score kept getting announced, man, those fans were going bananas. I went up to one cheerleader. I said, "Hey, are y'all rooting for the Hawks?" Because I thought, surely not. They hate each other. She's like, "Well, yeah, we kind of are." So the town's galvanized. So bottom line is, I think all of Edinburgh wants North to win.
Yeah.
I don't really think you have too many naysayers wanting them to lose. Do you really?
No, not at all. That Edinburgh's. Yeah, no.
It's our town.
Yeah, I mean, I root for the Bobcats once in a while. You know what I mean?
The North guy say he roots for the Bobcat. Man, there is a God after all.
Yeah. I mean, but just because you want to see your city succeed.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. You know what I mean?
We get to the third round again. That'll be 3 times in the last 4 years. Because 09 North did it, and 10 the Bobcats did it, and then this year that will be Edinburgh North. That's pretty slick. So what that means is that this is a good football town. McAllen is a very good football town too. We would be remiss if we didn't mention, I'm not going to make any comment one way or the other, the dismissal or the reassigning of Tony Harris after 17 years. So there's going to be some changes in town. There's going to be someone new at the head of the Bulldog program, and I wish them the best. Yeah. But it's a good football town. Yeah. I think all 3 teams were tough this year. All 3 teams could have made it. We had that scenario. Remember, week 9, if they'd have all won, they would have made it.
Exactly. All teams. I mean, that division was just.
It was tough.
Brutal.
I would add, though, on the other hand, that 32-5 whomped them 3 out of 4. I think they were tired. I think those teams were worn out after killing each other for 6 weeks, and I think it hurt them in the playoffs. Yeah. I really feel like it did.
That's a good point.
The other thing to note is that Edinburgh's had a decent year. McAllen's had a decent year, but Mission is the town. Mission should be Football Central or Harlingen for 2012.
Yeah.
All those teams made it.
3 schools.
That's right, 3 out of 3. Not too shabby, right? Well, here's Talking Sports for this week. We appreciate you being with us. Greg Selver, as always, along with Pete Pettis. Some big-time games coming up. Some games that will probably live in our memory for a long time. I'm looking forward to them.
They'll be fun. Yeah. We'll be out there, and we'll get some videos up. And just check out our website, yourvalleyvoice.com.
How about the redesign? That's a good-looking paper, ain't it? Boy, I picked that thing up. I was like, wow, that's pretty neat.
We need a new banner.
Yeah, we do. We need a new banner. We got nothing much back here. It's kind of like the bare bones version of the show.
We'll get graphics to put one in.
Yeah, put up a couple of pictures. What the heck? It don't matter because what we're here to do is just
talk sports.
Talk sports and make you guys happy. Mention as many kids' names as possible. So come back next week where we're going to talk about who won these big games, and we might even start talking about some round ball because it's about that time. The tournaments are starting. That's right. We're going to talk a little ball. Have a good weekend. Be good to your people. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you when we see you.